A man once walked into Cairo and accidentally destroyed its economy for 12 years. His crime? Being too generous. The year is 1324. While European kings were begging bankers for loans, while the Black Death was creeping toward a continent already on its knees, one man in West Africa was running out of things to spend gold on. His name was Mansa Musa, Emperor of the Mali Empire, and by every serious historical account, the wealthiest human being who has ever lived on this planet. Not a billionaire, not a trillionaire. Historians don't even have a number. His wealth was incalculable. To understand why, you need to understand one thing about the 14th century world. Gold was everything, and Mali had almost all of it. The Mali Empire sat on the richest gold fields the medieval world had ever seen. At its peak, Mali produced nearly half of the world's entire gold supply. While other rulers fought wars over scraps of land, Mansa Musa was literally sitting on mountains of the world's most valuable resource. And he had been doing so since 1312, when he became emperor. For 12 years, the wealth compounded. The empire expanded, and Musa grew into something the world had never quite seen before. A man so rich, even he didn't know how rich he was. In fact, when later asked about the extent of his fortune, he reportedly said simply, "I do not know its extent." Not arrogance, just truth. Then, in 1324, Musa made a decision that would echo through history for 700 years. He decided to go to Mecca. Every Muslim who is able is expected to make the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, at least once in their lifetime. Musa was deeply devout. He was going. But here's the thing about being the richest man alive. You don't just pack a bag. He left with 60,000 people. 60,000. That's not a pilgrimage. That is an entire city moving across the Sahara Desert. His soldiers wore armor. His attendants wore fine silk. Even his enslaved workers, draped in silk and gold thread, were dressed better than most European royalty of the time. And then came the camels. 500 camels, each carrying over 100 kilograms of pure gold dust. Not coins, not jewels, raw gold dust. The caravans stretched so far across the desert, people at the front couldn't see the end of it. As they crossed the Sahara, they passed through Egypt, through Cairo, one of the most powerful, most prosperous cities in the entire medieval world. And this is where everything unraveled. Musa was a generous man, deeply, genuinely generous. And everywhere he stopped, he gave. To the poor on the streets, to merchants, to officials, to strangers who simply looked at him. He threw gold at people the way we toss coins into a fountain, except each coin was worth thousands. He flooded Cairo with so much gold that gold became worthless. Think about what that means. Gold, the foundation of the entire medieval economy, the thing wars were fought over, the thing empires were built on. Worthless. Because of one man's generosity. Prices collapsed. Merchants who had built their entire lives around the value of gold found their wealth erased overnight. The entire supply chain of Egypt's economy buckled under the weight of too much abundance. Egypt's economy did not recover for over 12 years. One man's vacation caused a 12-year recession. He didn't invade, he didn't conquer, he didn't threaten a single soul. He just showed up and smiled and gave people gold, and it broke them. But Mansa Musa wasn't just a man who spent gold. He was a man who built with it. On his return from Mecca, he brought back architects, scholars, and poets. He commissioned mosques and libraries across the empire. He turned Timbuktu, already a center of trade, into one of the greatest centers of learning in the entire world. At its peak, the University of Sankore in Timbuktu had more students than Oxford. He didn't just accumulate power, he invested in civilization. And yet, most people have never heard his name. You could walk into any school in the world and ask, who was the richest person in human history? And almost no one would say Mansa Musa. They'd say Elon, they'd say Rockefeller, some name from the last 200 years. Because history has a habit of remembering who it wants to remember. Mansa Musa died around 1337. He left behind an empire, a legacy, and a question that still doesn't have a clean answer. What does it mean to be that wealthy and still be forgotten? Maybe wealth was never the point. Maybe the point was what you did with it. Musa fed the poor. He built libraries.
He funded knowledge. He walked across the world's deadliest desert, not to conquer anything, but to be closer to his God. And in doing so, he accidentally reminded the entire world just how small everyone else was. Mansa Musa never built a weapon, never launched an invasion. He just existed, fully, loudly, generously, and the whole world felt it. And then history quietly looked away. The richest human being who ever lived came from Africa, built universities while Europe was still in the dark, fed strangers while kings starved their own people, and most people couldn't tell you his name. So the real question isn't about Musa, it's, who else don't you know about? Drop one name in the comments. One person from history who deserves to be remembered. Because if Mansa Musa spent 700 years forgotten, the least we can do is remember him now.